Tonight we got Daryl Marston from Ghost Hunters TV show. And one of the things I want to ask you, Daryl, is what made you gravitate towards the paranormal?
I actually got into it by complete accident. I got invited to a paranormal tour back in 2005, where during the tour, I actually at a place called Fort Delaware here on the East Coast, where I actually witnessed a half body apparition. Um, and I didn't know if I was going crazy or did I see this thing or what it was. I just knew somehow, some way, somehow, when I left there that night, that I would try to recreate what I saw, and it just kind of led me down a rabbit hole where I just kept going with it, and here I am, 20 years later, doing the same thing and following it and trying to figure it all out.
Oh, that's amazing. Um, I got into paranormal investigating because I lived in a haunted house. I was being tormented. So I started reading a lot about the paranormal, books by Brad Steiger and stuff like that. That's how I fell into it. And so I was wondering if you fell into it because you lived in a haunted house because so many people, you know, they get stuck with the paranormal because they lived in a haunted house.
Well, I mean, yeah, honestly, I did. I grew up in a haunted house, but when we moved out of there, I was only 6 years old. So I don't remember any of it. I just remember the stories my parents would tell me and my grandparents. And yeah, I don't remember any of it. I just remember the stories over the years as a child. And but now my real first paranormal experience was what happened to me. Now I'm sure I had things that happened before that, and I really never paid attention to them, or I kind of brushed them off because I was younger. But when I saw what I saw, that this looked like a Civil War soldier standing 10, 15 feet away from me for about 10 seconds. Yeah, it that really captivated me, and it launched me to where I'm at today.
Well, that is amazing. That is amazing to see something like that.
Thank you.
Uh, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just thank you.
Oh, yeah. Um, Now, how did you get involved with Ghost Hunters, the TV show?
um, well, that's a crazy story. They found me. I had a podcast back in the mid 2000, around 2013, 14, 15, and I had it for about 5 or 6 years, the American Ghost Hunter show. And it started out kind of slow for the first year or two, and it grew, and it started getting some traction. And they saw me on there, and they reached out to me for the relaunch of Ghost Hunters. And next thing I knew, I was getting phone calls and doing meetings and stuff with a bunch of executives and producers out in LA and Burbank. And next thing I knew, I was in Burbank in LA signing, contracts and hit the road running. It was very fast, and it was, there was really no time to think about it. It just happened, man.
That is cool. Um, Now, oh, there's Zandine. Zandine, this is Daryl Marston. You already know him from Ghost Hunters TV show.
Hi, Zandy.
Hey, nice. Yeah.
You
Hello,
too, sir.
gentlemen. Nice to.
Yeah.
Phil's not going to
How you
be with
doing?
us. He has some oral surgery.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know that
honey,
hurts.
yo, he keep killing his mouth, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Um, Daryl, this is something I have to ask you. My uncle is now deceased. He was a pro wrestler back in the 1950s, and he wrestled with Pepper Gomez. I see that you were once a pro wrestler. Can you tell us about that?
Wow, man, that's a lifetime ago. Yeah, in my late teens and early 20s, I was a big wrestling fan growing up, like most kids are. We used to go, I mean, I live right outside of Philadelphia, so we were always at the Philadelphia Civic Center watching NWA, WCW, all that stuff. Met a lot of the guys like the Road Warriors and Ric Flair and all of them, and like I really admired them as a child, all the way into my teens. And me and a buddy of mine were at a wrestling match, like a local, like independent match. at a gymnasium, and the promoter, saw us in the front row. And we were pretty big guys, and he started talking to us. Next thing I know, 3 months later, after he sends us to wrestling school, and 3 months later, we're in the ring wrestling each other. And yeah, I did that for 10 years, 9 years, yeah, almost 9 years, 10 years. On the independent scene, I did a little stunt, little thing for WCW early years, and yeah, it was pretty fun, man. Didn't do very well at it, but it was quite the journey. It was fun. Got to meet a lot of really cool people.
So you said you met Ric Flair?
Yeah, I've met Ric Flair, the Road Warriors, Mark Callis before he was the Undertaker, Kurt Angle, all those guys. Yeah, the Hardy Boys. Yeah,
This is what I remember about Ric Flair. Woo!
yeah. Yeah, he's quite the character, man. I didn't really get to spend too much time with him, but I got to meet him, and that was really cool. I was young. I was still in high school when I met him. I was like 17, maybe 16. But we used to drive up to Philadelphia, into Philadelphia to all the matches and everything. It was really really good times, man.
That's cool. That's cool.
Hey, Daryl, let me ask you something, man. You
Yeah,
know, I grew up like near the Cow Palace, and they had this dude Rocky Johnson, who was I was the one the Rock's father. But at the time, nobody knew about the Rock. But
right.
you know, I used to watch it all the time. And my uncle one time, his babysitting, he was like, "Hey, man, that shit is fake." And I'm like, "What?" And I said, "You think it's fake?" And I started trying to, hurt him because I got mad what he was saying, right? But then years later, you know, I came, I looked at wrestling way different. I looked at it like, and I want to ask you, is this true? Man, when you look at those moves they do, I tell guys, hey, look, those guys got a map. If somebody can take you and put you in a pile driver, like you're talking shit to them, like, fuck, and just put you in a pile driver in your neck, you're done for. Like, if those guys can really do those moves on you, dude, that's some shit.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, quite honestly, man, when I was 9 or 10 years, I was in. I got hurt more practicing, like
Oh,
in
yeah?
the ring. I mean, there's a lot of those guys. I mean, you work with who've been doing it for a while, man. They were very, very, they took it easy. They took care of you as their, the opponent. And
Okay.
it's just it's predetermined. You can still get very hurt. I've seen a lot of people bad injuries. So yeah, dude, it was fun. Like I couldn't even tell you about wrestling these days. I probably have not watched it in 15, 20 years. I don't know
Okay.
anybody who's on there anymore. Like my day was, I got out of it, and I'll tell you how long ago this was. My last match was in January or February of 2001.
Oh, shit. Okay. I
Yeah,
see what
so long time ago.
And my uncle, Fedicino Villalobos, but he was known as El Lobo. He wore the mask and the whole thing. And
Right.
he for a little while there, he was a tag team partner of Pepper Gomez. And Pepper Gomez, he was a trip because one of his matches, he took some Louisiana hot sauce and sprayed it into the guy's eyes and then beat the hell out of him. But but my uncle, they say is fake and all that. My uncle permanently injured his back and he had to get out of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was it.
Yeah, it's one of those careers, man, or whatever you want to call it, where it's not very long term for a lot of these guys because yeah, the injuries are serious, and you end up walking out, and by the time you're 50 years old, you're handicapped, most some of these guys. So yeah, it sucks, but it was fun.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. Getting back to the paranormal, um, what case really stands out for you? Um, of all the cases that you've been involved in, what is that one case that really stands out?
It's probably I mean, God, I have kind of two categories I go with that. I go with on TV and off TV. Off TV, definitely, the House of Wills in Cleveland, Ohio. The one I wrote the book, The Horrors of the House of Wills, and it was about my investigation there, my time there, and what happened to me. Where it was the only at that time it was the only place that ever literally followed me home and played havoc on my life for about 6 weeks. So
Yeah.
I sat down and wrote a book about it. a few years back, and it came out like 2 years ago, and that was the one that really, to this day, people always ask me about the House of Wills. On TV, I would probably say probably Haines, Alaska is one of the ones that really sticks out to me. That's the place where on the show, on the Ghost Hunters, if you, I actually caught a full body apparition 2 times on my body cam at the Halsey Land Hotel. That was pretty compelling because at that time I'd never captured anything like that. You always get the people capture shadow figures and a really cool EVP or this or that, but I actually was able to capture this full body apparition twice on my body cam, which was really cool.
We had an expert on here, Daryl, that as far as equipment, you might even know him. You could tell him, Paul, but he was saying that was pretty rare. Like until then, I really didn't, I didn't think much about it. I've seen apparitions on photos, but the guy got a PhD and had been investigating it for like several years. He was saying that it's more than likely not a malfunction of the camera, but it's actual entity. So that he was saying
Yeah.
that's rare, but that's cool.
Oh, the one I captured on the show?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the crazy thing is, it was by complete accident. I'd totally forgotten because I'd always wear a body cam. It was something they'd
Okay.
give us, the production would give us, but sometimes we wore them, sometimes we didn't. I always got into the habit of just popping it on. It was like an extra set of eyes or an extra investigator with you. And I totally forgot I had that thing. I mean, you're in Alaska, it's January, February, it's cold. So you're bundled up, you got 2 or 3 layers on. So I had it clipped onto the front of my jacket. I had my jacket unzippered down, so it was hanging down. And
Yeah.
I remember, we heard it. We, not just myself and Mustafa, but the camera guy, a producer, and a sound girl that were two flights below us heard this thing run across the floor, and they were yelling up on us on the mics like, "What was that?" They were asking the camera guy. He's like, "I don't know." He said, "We heard something run down the hall." And I'm like, man, at that point, I felt like it was a personal experience, and I'm like, and I remember looking down like, "Oh shit, I got my body cam on." So I just remember getting out of there once we were done filming that, that part of the investigation, and getting back to the hotel that night, or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and throwing it on my laptop and just sitting there, just scrubbing through the footage, and there it was twice. And I thought, I remember capturing it once. I was like, oh man, that's cool. And I sat there and watched it for about an hour and 45 seconds, and there it was again. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, man. I was so stoked to catch that, man.
Man.
Yeah. Hey, Daryl, at one point in time, I could turn on the Travel Channel or Discovery Channel, and you would see all these different ghost hunting shows.
Mhm.
And then now they're gone. What's
Yeah.
going
Well, you had the big merger 2 years, 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, where the HBO or Time Warner, whatever you want to call them, purchased the Travel Channel, and purchased a bunch of that whole conglomerate thing over there, and it just got rid of a lot of the shows, man. Unfortunately, it killed them all. The only one that really survived was Ghost Adventures. They kept them on. Everyone else just went away. Uh, Fortunately, we weren't with them. We were on A&E, which is Disney. So we had nothing to do with any of that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but our reruns were actually playing on Discovery Plus, which was part of that purchase deal. Yeah. So you see that our reruns on the HBO thing too as well.
Now, is Ghost Hunters coming back on, or is it already on?
No, it's not on. That's above my pay grade, man. I don't know.
Uh, yeah.
I'm already filming a whole nother show right now.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that. Yeah.
Yeah, My Haunted Manor USA, which
Right.
which is in one location. We've been there for a year and a half filming. We're in our second season now, and it's at one location. We have 3 locations through the world. We have 2 in the UK, one here in the States. There's another team to cover the UK, Pendle Hill, and the My Haunted Hotel. Over here, we have My Haunted Manor, which is in Columbia, Pennsylvania, and we filmed there. And the stuff we capture there, like it, quite honestly, it even blows my mind the stuff we're capturing in this location. this place is just, and then the cool thing about this show is it's the only show where the actual public can actually come to the location while we're there filming and be a part of the episodes. So what we do is we have 16 cameras set up in the building at all times that are running 24/7. So we capture everything that's happening there when we're there or we're not there. And so we can go back and watch all that footage. We get little alerts on our phones or on our laptops saying something's happening in the building, and then we go there and we build the storyline about what we capture. So we build the whole narrative and the storyline around that, and we also build it around the public who come there and investigate and capture stuff when we're not there or when we are there. It's a really cool concept. The public loves it. We have people come from all around the world to come to this location that really no one even knew about 2 years ago. So it's a really awesome concept. The town of Columbia has adopted us. We're members of the Chamber of Commerce there. It's a really cool thing, and we're actually opening up a new location in California.
Are you talking about Columbia, South Carolina?
No, Columbia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay, okay.
Actually, a lot of people don't know Columbia, Pennsylvania was supposed to be the capital of the United States. It lost by one vote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Daryl, I'm sorry, Zandy.
California.
Oh, no, yeah, go ahead. Zandy, are you?
Saying about California, Daryl? You're talking
Yeah.
about California?
Yeah, we have a place that's we haven't really put it out there a whole lot. Yeah, we kind of talked about it on the show when we put some of that social media stuff out there, but we have a location opening up in California. Only thing I'm going to say right now, it's about an hour outside of Sacramento. It's a very historical look. It's a jail.
Sacramento.
You're probably up here by Pollock Pines, huh?
What's that? I'm sorry.
You by Pollock Pines where I'm at.
Is that where you're at? Up in that area? Okay, yeah. So we're about an hour outside of Sacramento where we're opening this location up. It's a jail. It's a 25,000 square foot jail that was built in the 1840s. Got a lot of incredible history. It didn't close down until the early 2000s, so it ran for a long time. We've been there doing some filming behind the scenes and getting stuff set up. So hopefully we will be there filming full time by June. So
that sounds like the jailhouse over in Placerville.
No, don't say it.
No, it's all I can say, it's about an hour outside of Sacramento. I don't want to say too much.
I know.
I don't want to say too much.
Tell you what, Daryl, hey, when you're ready, we'll just go up, and me, you, and Paul will just go up on Mormon Immigrant, pop out, do a couple of blasts, get in the car, and go to the haunted location. How about that, man?
There you go, bud. Wow. I fly into Sacramento, so you can get me there, man. I'm good.
Oh, Daryl, we had one of your comrades on this show, Sylvia from Ghost Hunters International.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know her?
No, I do not. I've never met her. No. I know a lot of the old cast like Dustin and all those guys. I never met her. No.
Okay. I know you hunt the ghosts and you probably hunt demons. Do you do any hunting of UFOs or cryptids?
No, I'm very interested in it. I've never done that. I've seen some crazy stuff on investigations on when we were on Ghost Hunters, we were doing a lot of stuff out west like New Mexico and Arizona, some crazy places. We actually did a location in New Mexico, and it was a UFO. It was labeled a UFO hotspot. Also a lot of paranormal activity. There was all kinds of sightings there, like the dogman type stuff, UFOs. Got a lot of really strong Native American background to it with the Mescalero and Apache Indians. So it was really cool location.
Oh, okay. Um, Now, you're also too involved with the American Ghost Hunter show on Paranormal Warehouse.
That was my podcast. Yeah, no, I have
podcast. So
yeah, I have not done that in 6 or 7 years. Yeah, no, that was all.
Okay.
And what is the Ritz investigation?
Oh, that's yeah, that's coming up here in April. The Ritz Theater in New Jersey. It's an event I get asked to do events and stuff throughout the country. But myself and my two co-hosts for the My Home Manor USA will be there. Jeff and Trey Bader, the Bader brothers, they're on
Right.
the show with me, and we'll be doing a full investigation with the public, meet and greet, Q&A, all that type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you got a thanks. Someone thanked you for the haunted doll wakes up the manor.
Yes. Well, it's funny because when I was out in Sacramento in September, I was at the location that I was just talking about and kind of scouted it out and everything. And I met a lady out there who collects haunted dolls, and she actually sold me one of her dolls. I wanted to bring back to the manor to do an experiment, and so I brought the haunted doll back to the manor, left it there with a couple of people from the UK who came over to visit the manor one night. I had an event. I couldn't be there all night, so I stopped by, dropped it off with Trey, who's on the show with me, and these three girls who came over from the UK, and a lot of crazy stuff happened. Now it worked so well in the manor with changing with the experiment we did and with changing the atmosphere in the manner that we have it on permanent display there now. So you can visit it, you can investigate with the haunted doll. It's on a display in the actual building.
Daryl, where can I watch your show at? Is it on a regular TV channel or?
Right now, we just released all our stuff to YouTube. It's sitting, it's waiting to get released on TV. We have a contract with a company, and they're supposed to release it. We're just waiting for that right now. But you can go watch it on YouTube on My Haunted Manor USA or the My Haunted Project, which will show all three locations throughout the world. The two in the UK, which is My Haunted Hotel and My Haunted Pender Hill, and then My Haunted Manor USA. And the fourth one will be coming soon.
Daryl, if I was a magical genie and and you one of your wishes was to investigate something, what would that place be that you haven't been there yet, but you want to investigate it?
Ooh, there's a couple on my wish list. I would say probably, and I know this will probably never happen. I would love to investigate Amityville, like the real Amityville, and investigate it. I know there's people say it was real. Some people say it wasn't real. Just
Yeah.
to be there,
Yeah.
just to be there, to be a part of that history. Because when I was growing up, that was the Amityville horror came out and all that, and that was a big thing. I would love to go investigate that. Another one would probably be, and it's a place I've been, but I didn't get a chance to investigate it. Was Tombstone, Arizona.
Oh, I've been to Tombstone.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. They say, well, the actual gunfight wasn't at the OK Corral. It was in the back alley.
yeah.
But they said that people have seen the shootout and it replays itself over and over.
Wow.
The residual energy from it.
Right. That would be wild to witness that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, oh, Zandy, I know I'm talking too much. Zandy,
Nah, man. We did just we trying to listen to this good gentleman, man. Thank you for giving us so much information.
Oh, you're
Um,
welcome.
yeah, and I was gonna ask you, this is probably off the wall question. What sign are you, man?
Scorpio.
Okay, all right, water sign like me. Okay,
Yeah.
November, October.
November 1st.
Okay, my son is on the 15th, and his mom is on the 5th.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny. My mom's Halloween. I'm the first, and my dad's the 10th. Yeah.
How
So
about oh, yeah,
my
okay, okay,
dad is November 1st.
I'm sorry.
My dad is November 1st.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Yeah.
okay, okay. And I'm sure. What's the check?
Daryl, Daryl. Okay, every ghost hunter knows that orbs could be dust, it could be skin flakes, it could be lint, it
Yeah.
could be dewdrops, light refractions, whatever. Do you think that any orb has the potential to be something paranormal a spiritual containment field?
I do. The stuff that you a lot of people put out there, 99.9% of it is yeah, what you mentioned. Um, I've seen real orbs where it's basically it's energy. It's a ball of light where you actually see it with in real time in a room. I've even seen them where they were so strong or so bright they lit up a whole floor of a house. Um,
Man,
I don't know
wow.
how to explain them. I explain them as energy, like just what how I explain the paranormal, how I explain what an entity is or a spirit. I explain it as it's energy. It's leftover energy from us. I mean, we're all made up of energy. That energy, when our vessel, this body dies, it has to go somewhere. Does it go to the light? Does it where to heaven or hell or wherever? It has to go somewhere. So a lot of times what we're seeing is that energy left over from us, or it's hanging around for whatever reason. Um, yeah, I do believe there are real orbs. I've seen them. Yeah, but I've never really caught them on camera. I've only seen them in real time, like right in front of you, and that you can't explain them.
Daryl, I got to tell you something. Okay, in one of my investigations, and Zandine's heard this story 100 times, but in one of my investigations, they told me that the ghost named Emily drains the energy from the occupants. And I said, okay, cool. And one of my investigators says, Paul, I need to sit down. I feel fatigued. I feel dizzy. I feel tired. And I go, wow, I wonder if Emily's draining your energy. So I said, Emily, if you're listening to me, kiss him on the mouth. And three of us snap a photo, and there's an orb on his mouth.
Wow.
Yeah, that showed me intelligent movement. Then I
Right.
said, okay, Emily, I said, if you're listening again, can you do me a favor and sit on his lap? We snap a photo, and there's an orb hovering over his lap. So, what I do now in investigations is I'll put my hand on the wall and I say, if there's any intelligent orbs here, any ghosts or whatever, I say, appear by my hand, and I'll get a picture of an orb on my hand.
That's pretty wild. That's a good. That's something that you've kind of created yourself, and something you can just keep following up on every time you're doing an investigation. That's pretty wild. I like that.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. Zandy, it looks like you want to say something.
No, no, I just wanted to ask Daryl, like, have you noticed? I've noticed that the some orbs, they pass right through, they float. But I noticed a lot of times, I don't know, so I wouldn't know if it was a ghost or not. But some of those orbs, all orbs aren't equal. Some of them actually do the door opening, the knocking things over, flipping switches. Have you noticed that like the difference in some of the power of the different orbs?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've never seen like orbs do that, but I've seen like I've got on camera, like especially at the location we're at now, my home manor, we capture doors opening and closing. It's like it's
Yeah.
second nature now. It's almost boring. Like we see it so much. Um, I've never seen anything physically do it. Like I've never seen anything walk up to it and actually turn the knob and move it. But you'll see a door actually the knob turn and the damn thing open and close. You don't see anybody there. There's nobody on camera. Um, I've never seen like an orb actually go up to a door and knock it open or anything. No.
Okay, okay, yeah, because there's and actually my boy is actually ex-military. He's Scorpio. He called me about his alarm, and he kept showing me these different orbs, and I was telling him about that because I saw this one special where these orbs were going by the beer taps, and they were starting the beer flow, and I'm like, okay, and that reminded me of we actually me and Paul we had done a house of this lady, and actually Paul she drove Paul crazy because she was calling every 5 minutes, like with something. Oh my God! Oh my God! So he's like, "Well, you go over there, man." And so I got over there, and I could see. Actually, I filmed. She had like it's kind of like a microphone stand. She was trying to film stuff herself, and you'd always have the orb go by, knock it. Well, I can't say for sure. I
Yeah.
would have to do more investigation on that. But everything she had in her particular cases, her whole house was about orbs. And like at 3:30 in the morning, she had a spot, and Paul could tell you. I could send you a video of all this stuff, but she had a place where millions of orbs would come out this one spot. I mean, better than any Lawrence Welk bubble machine, anything you could think of. And it's like they had a. She said, "Well, look where it's going." And there's this apparition in the back alleyway, be right next to her house, and it's like 6 feet, but it's two balls of light, and it looks like a guy standing on the fence, and they're all going towards it. So when I went out there too, where I saw it in the camera, I didn't feel or see anything at that point, but she had like, and then she had these ones. She said, "Oh, look at the goopy ones." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, these are like milk. So she had these thick ones, and those seem to like bother stuff a little more. But yeah, that was the first time and the last time I saw that.
That's pretty wild. Yeah. Huh.
I
You remember Yvonne? You remember Yvonne, Paul?
oh
And she
yeah.
had UFOs. But see, the other thing I want to ask you, I would think that you would see more UFO activity because I find that most of the houses that we've been to and somebody like, and it's real, I usually ask them, have you had any, UFO sightings? They're like, I think I have, or yeah, most like 70% of the time. No, I would
Yeah.
say like 60% of the time.
Yeah. I do see a correlation there with people with paranormal type stuff happening where they have the UFO experience as well. I see a lot more of that, I would say, in the last 5 to 10 years, definitely. And you hear a lot more about it. That correlation between UFOs and paranormal, what we call spirits or entities or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's something I don't know if we'll ever figure out, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
until we're actually there on the other side. Yeah, it's very interesting how it all kind of links together.
Um, we had a case, and I'm just wondering if you ever had a case like this, and I call it living ghosts. Um, uh, this case happened back in 1974 in Chicago, Illinois, and this couple they moved into this house and they saw a man manifest and walk over to the couch. A woman would manifest, and he was slapping her. This
Mm.
happened 2 or 3 times. So they went to a block party, and the host says, "Yeah, we do this every year. And here's our photo album. You can go ahead and look at the pictures." She's looking at the pictures, and then she sees this one photo. And she goes, "Oh my God." She goes, "Those are the ghosts haunting my house." So the host looks at it and he goes, "Ghosts? What are you talking about?" They did live in your house. They had domestic disputes. The cops were there all the time. They got a divorce. He lives 5 miles down the road and she lives out of state. They're both alive. Do you ever have cases like that where you don't get intelligent energy, but you're getting a lot of residuals, things that are replaying itself over and over?
Yeah, even when people are not passed. Yeah, I've seen that quite. I've seen that not a. I shouldn't say a whole lot, but I've seen that where I've seen where people actually are the haunting themselves, where they create such either a negative force or a positive force of energy, where they can create their own haunting, even though there's no one dead there. Yeah, I've seen that's a pretty wild case. I like that because these two people were still alive. So basically, what happened was the energy in that location was so bad at one point and so turbulent with this couple, that it left an imprint of residual of this, of him hitting her or vice versa. That's always interesting to me, stuff like that, where there's no one has passed yet, but you're seeing the ghost of that, or another thing, what you got to think about too, are you seeing in the past, are you seeing history play itself out, that happened 20 years before that, and you're seeing like an opening or a window in time where it kind of goes back. Yeah, it's pretty wild. You almost wonder, like, too, with like a lot of the like places like Gettysburg, say, for example, where you have a lot of people who capture soldiers, or like battle scenes, or they see a battle scene. Are they actually seeing into the past? Are they actually seeing a residual imprint of right now? So it's stuff that's why this field is so crazy to me, because there's so much we can just keep going and going and going with it, and I don't think we'll ever have all the answers. I think we figure out a little bit at a time. It's like putting a puzzle together, a huge puzzle. And every once in a while, we kind of figure something out. But then you look at the puzzle, and there's still a couple thousand pieces to put together. That's how I feel about this field at times.
And I
Yeah,
think
Daryl,
it's
this is
so
how
cool. Oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, Paul.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, Daryl is spot on, man. And like about what you said about most people never talk about um the residual being like from somebody that's living now, like say a couple
Yeah.
that was hiding in an apartment and they moved out and is still there. Like I've only heard like some of the most educated guests say that. So that's that, you're on it, man. And
Yeah.
I wanted to say, I want to ask you, what's your have you do you delve in demonology? Like, is there any demon you've been scared of, invoked, or come across, or do you know anything about demonology?
I know about it. I know about. I stay away from it. Like a lie. I
Okay.
don't want that in my life. Um, I try to avoid, the negative stuff because of my experiences. Like I wrote a book about the House of Wills, very dark
Okay.
location. I don't like using the word demon too much because people kind of, um,
Demon, yeah, yeah.
I, it's negative energy or negative spirits. They exist. They're real, and they will f you up. They will f up your life if you allow them and you open yourself up to it. And which, when this happened to me, the whole House of Wills thing, um, I was I was a lot younger. I mean, this is 10 years ago, and I think I was a little bit immature as an investigator, and I left myself open to it, and
Uh,
it attached itself to me. Um, but it was an experience that I probably would never change for the world because it made me who I am today. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
yeah, yeah.
pluses and
I
negatives
understand.
to
I
it,
understand.
but the whole demon thing, man, it's just not. It's just something I try to stay away from. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been in a lot of locations where you can just feel the energy's not right in a building or a house, and you're like, man, you just don't want. I personally don't want to be there. I'm just like, this is not good mojo, man. This is
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. No, I mean, because yeah, I mean, you can't. You if a lot of people just a lot of people think of a demon like with horns and like what they might look like, but they're not really understanding about the bad luck part, the misfortune part, and that part. So yeah, I feel it. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Paul.
yeah.
Well,
It's just something I try to stay away from because I know what it can do to you as a human. Because 9 times out of 10, you don't even know it's a demon. They're not going to show themselves as a demon. They're going to come to you as, something good or something that's not negative. And before it's too late, it's in your life and it's really playing havoc with you. And it's if you're not careful, I mean, there's cases of people who lose their minds and do bad things.
Oh yeah.
and we get a lot of cases. Right now, we're sort of non-active. We're just kind of taking a break from investigations, but
So we have. Yeah.
we get a lot of demonic cases. Um, in fact, my nickname is the Demon Warrior. And the reason why I got that nickname is because I do a Roman Catholic house blessing. And
Right.
we've seen some crazy stuff, Daryl. And people with demonic attachments, I actually give them a full submersion baptism. I'm not ordained, I'm not really religious, but I believe in angels, and that's
Yeah.
what I call upon. And and when I first started it, I didn't know if I was going to be successful or not. I was kind of leery about it, but then I started getting phone calls and say, "Paul, you got rid of the demon." So that's what I do is I do a Roman Catholic house blessing with holy water and all that, and I do full submersion baptisms if they have a demonic attachment, and it seems like it works.
Let me ask you a question. How, like, I don't know how long you've been doing it, but how much of that, like, have you found that is like there's an actual demon, or is it psychological, something the person's going through, like mentally
Oh
or physically?
I would
yeah.
say 85% is mental.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
what happens is, even though I go through the whole ritual and everything else, I mean, they start pouring down tears and everything else. and they, they actually believe in angels,
Right.
but it seems to work.
Well, if
But
it's working, that's what matters.
yeah,
If it's
yeah,
bringing them to a better place in their life where they can get their life together and they feel relief, that's all that matters in the end. Yeah.
yeah. And we've been in some situations where it was a little bit too crazy, and I had to get my investigators out of there. I said, okay, everybody out, go home, you
Yeah.
know. And I didn't even deal with it because like this one case, the guy was just a little bit too crazy. He looks like he was homicidal.
Uh,
So I'm out of here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can get dangerous when you're delving into that type of stuff. I've seen a lot of cases. I've been on cases where it's got like, especially when you're mixing, the paranormal with real people, who can do damage, and people who are like who are practicing certain, dark practices, black magic, things of that nature. It can get really sketchy really quick.
I
You
don't
know what?
I don't want to see my buddy Zandine get beat up.
Now, you know what? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? It is one of the cases we did. Paul gave it was down in like San Luis Obispo, and it was a 78-year-old lady, like well-to-do. She's really really nice lady, and she was like, "Listen, I got this." Well, basically, it's like she had a succubus, more so than a demon. But I asked her, what was her faith? She felt she was a psychic and that she came from a long line of psychics. And the
Right.
thing about succubus is unless you step in line and as the way succubuses go, unless you step in line of whatever new faith you're going to be in, you have to stay in it too because it'll keep reattaching. So she first of all, I said, well, who's your source? Like when you're in trouble or you're afraid, like who do you call out to? And she really didn't know that. And so I was telling her, hey, listen, before you can even shake this thing, like, what do you believe in? And the only thing is, the only thing she had really known was like, hey, my mother passes down, and my grandmother passes down to her. And the thing of it was that like with um, the cure for it, she had tried different people. She said she had got some relief, and she was getting this pain. As I was there, she started doing this burping thing, and her side like twitch, and she'd be like, I get this pain. I just wanted to stop. And so I didn't know if it was psychological or not. Um, so what I did was, in the Gospel of Matthew, for me, you don't need any kind of tools. You don't need a bunch of holy water. You need what you really need is well, for me anyway, is the belief inside here. Like I mean, really for real.
Right.
And it happens, and that's why I was going to tell Paul. It doesn't even have to be religious. Like if you really have that belief, but that was said in the Gospel of Matthew and all kind of other writings as well, not just the Bible. But for her, I just had a Hebrew Bible, and I gave her some readings, but she wasn't ready to step into say any particular faith. But then after a while, she called me back and she said, "You know what, Zandine? I still want to try it like that." But once she let go and just said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna," and I didn't tell her, I didn't say what faith. I just told her whatever it is you believe in, who you call out to when you're scared. I want you to align yourself with them and stay totally with that. Don't step in, don't step out. Like, and and she actually turned me on to a fiduciary. Like she said, hey, you know what? She said, rich people don't play with their money. We invested. So she turned me on to this guy that like, how fiduciaries are. I mean, some are good, some are bad. But
Right.
she went to, a bunch of them, found a good one, and actually he knew what the hell he was talking about. So it was a win-win situation. But she really, I think whatever was going on with her, she felt she was cured. And I wasn't the only one that gave her some relief though. She had other ones from different doctrines that like a lady that was kind of like a shaman. And then Paul referred me to another guy that had done some good work, but he couldn't be found. It was real shady to find him. So,
Huh.
but anyway, yeah, that was the last case, and she lived in a real affluent like place, like you wouldn't even you wouldn't have thought anything. But she was really tormented, and you could see like welts come, that type of thing. So
Right. That's wild.
Zandine, if I just got a case yesterday from some lady demonic in Fresno, California. So if you want to take that case, let me know.
All right. Got
Okay.
an interview. You want
Um,
if
Daryl,
Yeah.
to you again. Okay. Um, like back to the orbs again. Have you seen those orbs where they have intricate type designs? I call them designer orbs. And if you blow it up, you can or enhance it, you can sometimes see a face in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I mean, I've seen people post stuff like that on social media, online and stuff. Yeah. I've never I've never blown up an orb to look at them, to be honest with you. It I kind of the way I investigate, I investigate. I try to be as scientific as humanly possible. And
yeah.
I'm also one of those people. If I don't see it or hear it for myself, I'm very skeptical of it, and I'm always a skeptic.
Mm.
And you have to be in this field. If not, you're just going to be off in left field somewhere, and you're just chasing crap. But when the orbs, like I said before, the orbs all the ones I've actually seen have always been in real time, like, and are always it's a source of light. It's some kind of energy. I don't know if it's natural or if it's paranormal. I couldn't tell you at the ones I've seen, but it's pretty phenomenal because a lot of times they're followed by a lot of activity. Either audible voices, or you want to call them disembodied voices, um, EVPs, or some kind of an apparition. We did a case in right outside of New Orleans, uh, on Ghost Hunters, where myself, Grant Wilson, Brandon, Albus, we were in a room investigating. This is all on camera. We're in this old historical, state, where we was it's to this day it's still they filmed a lot of movies there. They filmed Roots there. They filmed 12 Years a Slave and a bunch of shows at this location because it's so beautiful. It's got it's this old plantation, but we're on the second floor, and there's eyewitnesses that have seen these apparitions and things of that nature. So we're in this one room, and we kind of quarantined ourselves in this room, and there's two doors. There's a door from the hallway, and there's a door leading from this room into another room to our left hand side. So we got the camera guys with us. We have two camera guys, and we're filming. We're doing we're have a bunch of equipment set up, and out of nowhere, the room to our left completely lights up like a ball of energy, just lights up the room. And we all three witnessed what looked like a woman walk through the ball of light into the room with a long gown on. We all three saw this in real time. The one camera guy who was directly behind us, saw it as well. The other guy who was across the room didn't see it because he was in the corner pointing toward us. Um, so that's another thing with the orbs that, like, I usually, when I've seen them, they've been a burst of energy, a ball of light, or a moving ball of light, about the size of maybe a softball to a basketball size. Um, that was pretty compelling seeing that, and I think it blew all our minds. Like, we've never seen anything like that, where this burst of energy, it was like almost like a portal opened up.
Yeah.
It grew. It started small. We kind of were seeing it out of the corner of our eye at first, and all of a sudden you see this large oval like ball of light open up, and it looks like a female. Well, at least it looked like a female because it had a dress on, come
Yeah.
out of it. And we lost her because she went past the doorway, and you could see her gown still as she's moving,
Yeah.
um, like toward
Yeah.
the floor. Um, that's wild. I and I don't know how the cameras didn't pick it up, but we all four of us saw it. The three of us and the camera guy saw it.
Well, Daryl, this is what I'm leading to, and I got to tell you, one of my cases, it was in Del Paso Heights. Um, I was snapping some pictures in the backyard, and two photos I had them enhanced, large. They made them a little bit larger, and I asked one of my investigators. I said, "What is it you see in these designer orbs?" And she looks at it and she goes, "I see dogs." in each orb there's a dog face. And this is not just something like, you look at the clouds and, oh, there's a leopard and stuff like that. They actually look like dog faces. So I went back to the occupant and I said, what is it you have in your backyard? And she goes, oh, I have orange trees. I said, yeah, besides the orange trees, what else do you have back there? She goes, well, my two dogs are buried back there. I go, okay. I say, hey, take a look at these photos and tell me what you think. And then she starts crying. I
Yeah.
go, why are you crying? She goes, those are my two dogs.
Oh,
Yeah, and I go, whoa, something like that I could deem as paranormal because she's saying, I'm seeing dogs, and she's saying those are her two dogs. So
gotcha.
that blew me away.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a cool correlation.
Yeah, no, you know what, Daryl, I actually when offline, like we should send you some crazy stuff. Like when you said about the ball splitting the energy, like I just tried Reddit one time. I sent this. It's like a clip. It's a ball. It was at the park down in Los Angeles, and ball came and then it split, burst energy, three,
Hmm.
then four,
Yep.
then five. That type of thing. And then there's the ones where all of a sudden you're sitting there. Like a lot of times I'm like meditating or praying or whatever. And this particular time they came like a Christmas tree, like right in front, blinking. And then there was two little ones, almost like kids that strayed. And you saw one come from the pack and ushering right back too. And then they all like just,
Yeah.
and with the orbs, a lot of times people do have, you have like stuff in the atmosphere where it's chemical or it's,
Hmm.
it's stuff that makes orbs like that. I got some pretty pictures that I think are, just natural phenomenon. I don't think they're,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but it's,
It's
huh?
good that you bring that up because there are phenomenon out there natural that can cause that,
Yeah.
especially outside. With the atmosphere and everything, and humidity and pressure and things of that nature. But when it happens in a house where you're sitting in a room for hours and hours and hours, nothing's changed, and all of a sudden this ball of energy opens up. Um, that's the ones
Yeah.
you really got to kind of pay attention to. Like, why? Yeah, that was one of the things we did on Ghost Hunters. Okay, it's easy to go into a location and spend a week there like we did, or 2 weeks investigating it and capturing all really cool evidence, like stuff you can only imagine, and you see on TV. But it's another thing is you take it from there and you bring it over here. And you're like, okay, so yeah, we caught that, but why are we capturing that? Why is that happening? Why is this place why is it haunted? You kind of have to take it out of that box, you put it in the back burner, and it's like, okay, let's bring it over here and dissect it and see what's causing that. Why is this haunting happening? Who's here? Is it residual? Is it intelligent? Is it this, that, the other? And that's where you kind of move away. Okay, yeah, we're capturing a lot of cool shit. But the cameras that we have today, and the phones and everything, people are capturing stuff that we couldn't imagine 15, 20 years ago. But now we got to take it out of that box, bring it to this box, and like start dissecting it and say, okay, why is this happening? Yeah, we know why we're capturing it because our equipment's a
Yeah.
lot better, and I can't imagine what's going to be 5 or 10 years from now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, shit.
Right. So that's where the paranormal, this industry, or what do you want to call it? It's a hobby for some. It's a business for others. Wherever you're at, this is where we got to take it, guys. I mean, and this is not knocking anybody. This is just like this is real. This is okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to be there's I always I try to explain to people like there's two different people in this industry. You have ghost hunters and you have paranormal investigators. Ghost hunter just wants to go out and have fun, capture some cool stuff, have a little scare, whatever, which is great. I'm all for it. I can do both. Like when I do my events at these locations where I get called in to the public and meet and greets, you're there for 6, 8 hours. You're having fun. You're not going to reinvent the wheel. But now we got to take it like a paranormal investigator. They could be in a location. A real investigation could take years to kind of figure out, and that's what we're doing on our TV series, where we're at a location. We've been at this one location for a year and a half. The one location we have in the UK, My Haunted Hotel, They've been doing that for 3 years. So we have a team over there,
Okay.
Danny and all these guys that they film there full time as well as we're filming here, and they've been there for 3 years. I was actually over there last year and filmed with them, and you're basically we have cameras set up all the time, so we're basically
Yeah.
investigating one location for years to try to figure it out. And God, man, it's tough, but you start seeing the correlation. You start seeing when certain things are happening. Like at my haunted manor, we have a thing almost 10:30 every night. We hear children. Why?
Oh,
Why are we hearing Why are we catching EVPs of children? Um, Audible voices of children, real time. And we have actual video and pictures of these children. And it's usually around between 10:30 and 10:45, almost every night we're there. So now that's what we got to figure out. We got to take that. Why are we seeing and hearing them at that 15-minute period or half-hour period? So you got to take it from there and let's keep moving with it as paranormal investigators in this industry.
I
Well,
like that. I like that, man.
that's a good format. I mean, I've heard people going, I wish they would spend more than just one night at a place.
Yeah,
Oh, freaking year. Man,
yeah,
3 years in that one place. I mean, that's
yeah. And
crazy.
they're still there.
Yeah.
They've been, I mean, it's going 3.5 years for them over there, a year and a half here, and we're not going anywhere. We're set up full time, and we're not going to we're not going to stop. And once we get out to California, out where you guys are,
Yeah, yeah,
we'll
yeah.
be set up there for God knows how long.
And,
Oh,
man,
that's
hey, this area is gonna be a gold house for you. I mean, not only by the 37th parallel, but then like there's houses that Paul, just randomly I don't think he even knew they were by me, but there's a whole side like there's these houses up off of 50, where they're just like part of this whole line of like I guess 1800 people, all these apparitions and stuff people have been seeing. And so, we could just pretty much pick a spot.
Yeah,
But back to what I was gonna say about your information, man. Um, it's cool, like the stuff you're giving us. It reminds me of I don't know if you ever remember the and one street ball players. They had this dribbler, this guy that was incredible with the basketballs. His name was
yeah,
Hot Sauce.
yeah,
You remember him?
yeah,
And the thing I liked about him was that he got so good, not from, he got so good just from doing it, right? And you get insights, that you can't get unless you're doing serious reps. And that's what you remind me of with your craft, man. That's cool. Like you
thank you.
you found out some shit from you actually doing it enough to where you can think about it that deeply. That's cool.
Yeah, and I always go back to ghost hunters. Like we were ghost hunters. People don't realize we were at some of these locations. We were the least amount of time we were there a week, sometimes 2 weeks at one location filming. Um, and yeah, that's not even enough time. Yeah, we captured some really cool stuff we could throw on TV and people loved it, and on to the next. But when you're in one location that has so much history, and the cool thing is we have two historians that work with us. So what we did is when we went to this location, okay, you heard all the folklore and the this and that. This person died here, and like then you start delving into the history. You get a story involved in it, and you find out no one ever by that name ever lived there, or that. This never happened. But then you start finding the real history. You're like, oh shit, okay. So this happened, but this didn't happen, but this did happen, which is a lot more compelling than what the story you got people are spinning. And you take that and you start, with the evidence you're capturing, and you try to put names to people. Like they're in the location we're at. The true name of this building is called the Samuel Miller Mansion. Well, Samuel Miller really only lived there for maybe 2.5, 3 years.
Okay.
Okay. So it's called the Samuel Miller Mansion, but a guy by the name of Samuel Schock actually lived there and worked there for 40 years. And he passed away. Um, so then that's stuff that we're finding, like the true history of this location. This building was part of the Underground Railroad in Pennsylvania, where
Yeah.
down in the basement there's still an entranceway where the escaping slaves would come into the building and be hidden in the building until they could move them to another location. Um,
Okay.
there's all this really cool history. a lot of people don't know the same building. What if it wasn't for this building, the Battle of Gettysburg may have never happened, because in this building, there's a river that runs through Pennsylvania called the Susquehanna River. This building is in a town called Columbia, which is right next to the Susquehanna River. During the
Okay.
Civil War, the Confederate Army was trying to cross the bridge to take Harrisburg. If they had taken Harrisburg, the war would have probably been over because they had taken the capital. So what happened was the capital of Pennsylvania. So what happened was there was a small Union detachment there holding them off. There was a bridge that went across the river, and they were firing back and forth with each other, trying to hold off the whole Confederate army from crossing. So there's a company called the Bridge and Banks Company that owned the bridge. So the Union Army got with the Bridge and Banks Company in our building that we film at, and had a meeting to burn the bridge. So they burnt the bridge down, which unfortunately caught most of the town on fire because the wind was blowing toward the town that day. So there was a
Okay.
bad fire in town. But what it did was it pushed the Confederate Army to Gettysburg, where the Battle of Gettysburg happened.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so if it wasn't for that, the Battle of Gettysburg would never, and that all happened in the building we filmed in.
Oh,
Man, that's great. That's great history knowledge. So I guess you would know. You know who my favorite abolitionist is?
Who's that?
John Brown.
John
You
Brown.
know,
Okay.
a lot of I tell actually a lot. It's people. I mean, black, white, Chinese, whatever. It's a lot of people that don't really know. The thing about John Brown for me was just that the dude like lost six of his sons, like his wife. Saying, hey, look, you know what? Um, I don't agree with that, and I'm sure that he was represented. He was a microcosm of like millions of other people, but like this type of stuff, they don't tell you,
No.
those aspects about it. So, but
Yeah.
I appreciate that history, man. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's stuff that we uncovered when we, in the year and a half, almost 2 years we've been in this building, things we're uncovering the true history of the town and the location, which is so crazy. It's such a rich history. And the cool thing is the show is not just in the building, it's actually kind of overflowed into the town as well. And we've done other locations in the town
Oh,
because the town is so welcoming to us filming there all the time.
that's sweet. Oh,
Yeah.
one of the craziest things that I ever experienced was getting a letter from a prisoner from San Quentin prison, and he wanted to start his own ghost hunting group inside the prison. And when the
That's
war,
cool.
yeah, yeah,
oh,
he's going to be there for life. Why not? And
Yeah,
they see ghosts up there all the time because you have
sure.
murders,
yeah.
suicides, everything else.
Everything.
Yeah,
Everything goes down to prison.
yeah.
It's a
Oh,
lot of bad energy, man.
And
oh,
the warden nixed it because he said they couldn't bring any equipment into the prison to investigate, so.
Uh,
But
that's
what kind of equipment do you like using?
that's why I said,
I'm
yeah.
not big on equipment. I'll tell you, over the years, I've learned what to use and what not to use. I use the only thing you'll see me show up with on an investigation for, if I'm doing like an event somewhere, I come with my body cam, a recorder, and maybe an EDI. That's it.
I
Okay.
heard that.
And
That's like
what do you
so
think
free.
about the Connect thing with the stick figures and all
Yeah.
that?
It's good for fun. People have fun with. I actually own a Connect. It's under my debt. It's been there for 10 years. I got it. I tried it out just to see what it was all about. This is back, 10, 15, 12 years ago, whatever it was, and it just wasn't for me. When you start doing the research on it, and and that's one thing, with our location, we allow people to bring whatever they want,
Yeah.
and we film them using whatever they want. But it's not. It. I know how it kind of, pretty much how it works, and it's good for, entertainment purposes. And I'm not saying they're not capturing something on it, but at the same time, it's not something you can use. It's not something you can, you it's nothing. So the way I think about it is like I can't take that. Like if I had a client, like if I did residential cases, which I don't do, I have people ask me all the time. I just don't do them. But if I had a residential case and I couldn't take what I captured on a Connects and actually show it to a client and say, "Oh, that's a ghost." you can't do that. It it's there's too many false positives to it, and it's a toy, you know, basically.
Absolutely.
You-
Yeah.
You're a
Okay.
good man, Daryl. That's
Great.
just like I knew a martial arts teacher one time, and we were asking. We said, "Hey, man, do you have belts? You know, like do we get belts?" He says, "What?" He says, "You want a belt?" He said, "Hey, Zandine, go upstairs, go look in my closet." He said, "Look at a shirt, whatever color you want, rip it up, make yourself a belt." He said, "You want a belt?"
Yeah,
He said, "We
right.
don't." Yeah, he said, "We don't do belts." I want to ask you, man, do you what actually really scared you? What was a epiphany or like a pivotal moment where you said, "Yeah, this shit is real"? Cause like if you see a UFO, you see an orb, you see some things, you're like, "Did I see it? Didn't I?" You ask everybody, you keep going through the checklist and shit, but then like what happened to you where you said, "No, no, no," like I don't care how many times I ask myself, this really did happen.
Ooh, I've had several things like that. I think the one
Okay.
that stands out to me the most was I was on an investigation at a place called Anderson Hotel in Kentucky, where we were there was four of us in a room. Uh, Myself, a guy who was behind me filming. This wasn't on TV, filming, and two ladies who were with us in this room. And there's a whole backstory to this location. It was a really seedy place back in the 70s and 80s. People had died there, committed suicide. There was some unsolved murders there. Where it got so bad, the town and the city and where this is in Kentucky, they actually closed the place down for health reasons and for other reasons too. And when they closed it down, they actually just boarded it up. They left everything in the building. They left the beds, the couch, everything in this it,
Okay.
the hotel, which you really couldn't call it a hotel. It was more like a motel. It was two stories, but one story was where people lived. And it was more like a flop house where people you could pay $100 a week and you could live there. So there's all these stories and stuff there. We heard about the place, so we're there investigating. We're in this what we had some stuff happen throughout the night, but we got to the point where we wanted to go into one side of the hotel that we hadn't been to yet, but we were there during we toured it earlier in the day, and it just felt it was just uneasy there. So we're in this room and we're filming, and they're doing a spirit box type thing. I'm not sure what it was called, and at one point in Spirit Box, we were trying to figure out. It went on for 10 minutes. We were trying to figure out what it was saying, and every so often you would hear like a numeral put out, like 10. I think it was a countdown almost. It was so we figured out what it was saying. It was reciting the Lord's Prayer backwards,
Oh shit.
and it was counting down from 10. Like I think that's where we kind of picked up on 10. It was like 10 and 9, and it was doing that like every maybe 15 or 20 seconds, maybe a minute. Um, and it got to the point where the two ladies who were with us were arguing and they were bickering. And I'm like, get the take this, get her out of here. So they stopped arguing, and we'll get out of here. The tension was high. Um, so the one girl, she's sitting in a chair across the room. I say, hey, we got to go. You guys are this ain't cool. We can't do this in this location. So she's like, I'm not going anywhere. She's acting weird. I'm like, okay, whatever. And she's like, and she kept, there was a room to my left. Um, it was like a room in a room. And she kept looking in this dark room where you couldn't see into. And she kept looking and looking, looking. I'm like, what are you looking at? I said, like, she's acting really strange. She's sitting in this rocking chair, rocking back and forth. I'm like, come on, let's go. And it was like, this went on for 5 minutes. And I'm like, look, we got to go. And she said, and she's like, she said out of nowhere, he's coming. I'm like who's coming? And I looked to my left. I kept looking to my left, and all of a sudden I hear stomping, like something running toward me.
Oh
So I
shit.
I spin to my left, and right behind me there was a like an old kitchen chair that was in the room. I spin to my left. I kind of get out of the chair. I look to my left, and at the same time I saw a flash of energy come from in front of me, and whatever it was, like I didn't feel hands on me. I didn't feel anything. It threw me across the room. So it threw me about 5 or 6 feet across the room where I actually the chair that I was directly behind me got caught up behind me, and I
Mm.
landed on it and smashed it, like flattened it. and I'm laying on the floor, just looking at the ceiling, like what the hell just happened? So the people who were down the hallway who were with us earlier, they heard me hit the floor, and they come, the guy comes running in. It's like, yo, what happened? I was like, I don't know. So
Man,
you know,
yeah, that was
long story short, I got thrown. I don't know what hit me. I didn't feel hands. I just, it was like a burst of energy. What happened? It was so crazy and compelling to me where it bothered me so much. Like most people, like we got out of there right away. But
scared.
most people would like, I'm never going back. I actually went back about 2 months later to try to recreate what
Okay.
happened,
Yeah, yeah. Just to
and
make
I
some
couldn't
sense.
do it. I To this day I don't know what it was, how it happened, but that's the one that always sticks with me. Like
Uh,
it bothers me. Like what the hell was that? And I know a lot of dark shit went down in this location, a lot of bad shit. There was the guy who was running it, he was like the caretaker of the management of the location. He was doing a lot of stuff with sigils and things that, like, to that day, like you could like you could turn a picture around and there were sigils written behind the picture.
wow.
So they was still in the building. So there was a lot of bad stuff going on in there. Yeah.
Yeah, but physical, when you start, something can throw shit or knives or push you. That's when it gets like, okay, I mean, you have no protection against that. I mean, at first, but yeah, I'm surprised that you kept going after that.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things that it bothered me so much. I just had to figure it out. Like
Yeah,
I never did. Like I tried to. I went back, like I said, about 2, 3 months later, tried
yeah,
to
yeah.
recreate it, and
Yeah.
didn't get any of that. Man, it's pretty wild.
That makes sense though. When it's like if somebody sees a UFO or they see a giant or a fairy or something, you become obsessed with whatever, and you go because you know what you saw. So it makes sense if you did like keep going hard because you're like, hey, what is this? Um, and then what you said about the backwards talking. I'm sorry, Paul. Last thing I'll say, Motormouth. The last thing about the backwards speech. You know, I noticed. And I don't know if you noticed in any of the backward speeches, every 20 seconds you get something that's like forward,
Yeah,
So that all trips me out too. But yeah,
yeah, it was
that
wild.
all crazy.
Oh, yeah, I
Go ahead,
thought,
Paul.
okay, well, we're getting close to the hour. Well, actually, we were there. Um, I just wanted to ask a couple things. Is Taps magazine still out there?
Not to my knowledge. No, I was
Okay.
never a part of Taps.
Okay, okay. Um, how can people reach you? I mean, where can they watch your shows at? Your website, you name it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for right now, like I said, everything is housed on YouTube. It will be coming out on Amazon Prime, and
Okay.
also on another network that it we've been in contracts with these guys for since last August, so we're just waiting for it to drop. Um, Hopefully here soon. But right now,
Oh,
like I said, you can go on YouTube, go on to either My Haunted Manor USA or go to My Haunted Project, where you can watch all three of the different other locations, um, and watch the series. We a new episode drops every week, and like personally, you can go find me. Go on my Instagram page. My link tree's on there. It links to all my different stuff that's going on. My book you could find on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, bookstores
okay.
everywhere. The Horrors of the House of Wills.
That's nice. Horrors in the House of Wiz on Amazon. Got to check that out.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? We got to get however Paul reached you. I want to sing you some stuff, man, just to for
Yeah,
S and giggles.
absolutely. I'll shoot you my email. Just send it to my
Right on,
email.
right.
Yeah.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, the information you gave us, like it was, man, it was intrinsic. It was. I can't
Thank you.
wait to they edit this show and play it back because people can watch it and get stuff. But to tell you the truth, like all the stuff that you were talking was natural on the cutting level edge. We've cutting level edge, but we've had some PhD level guests that like they would say stuff that might be over some people's head, but
Mhm.
like you got working knowledge of it, and that's what I liked about it, man. So yeah,
Nice.
thank you.
I appreciate that. I try.
Daryl, you did a great job. We could talk to you for hours.
Same.
So
So
yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much for being on the show. When
No,
this
no, yeah.
when Phil gets this published, I'll make sure you get the link and everything else.
Sure, sure. And I'll shoot you my email, the way
Hey,
you
man,
contacted me. And please send me whatever you got, guys.
right on.
All
Thanks for
right.
coming.
Thank you for having me. It's been great. Great show. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear.
All
Okay.
right. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.
Okay.